Okay. What's up, guys? Zach with By Wicks. So this is my first live video on YouTube. I just noticed I had 1,500 subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. This is the Wood Miser. This is all I do. I cut wood for people and then I sell wood. I've been working myself for 15 years. So it all started, I would say, 11 years ago on my dad's land. My dad had some land in like Hydro, Oklahoma. So we had 180 acres. It was like canyon land, and like it wasn't like really farmable. Like there was some good hunting there. Anyways, he sold it like 8 or 9 years ago, but around 10 or 11 years ago, I harvested, I would say maybe 11 or 12 years ago, I harvested some cedar trees. So, I remember I cut a cedar tree down. It was so big, I couldn't move it. I cut the cedar tree down and then I cut it in half. I took 2 log halves to a sawmill, and then I got some other logs on the trailer, and I took them to a sawmill, Oklahoma City sawmill. They're no longer open anymore, but that's kind of where my business started. For 3 or 4 years, I was taking logs to this sawmill, and sometimes I would deal with, wavy cuts, inconsistent times. You don't know how much money you're going to be paying. You could, take their, wheel and shake it. Their bearings need to be redone. It was an older machine, but I was pulling wood off of that machine, a decade ago. Tim's a great guy. I think he's still doing woodworking, but that's kind of where the business started. In 2017, I bought my first sawmill. So in 2017, I bought this sawmill. It was an LT40 wide. It wasn't a super. It pretty much had a gasoline engine on it. I paid $28,000 for it. It was a great sawmill. I put like 450 to 500 hours on it. I sold it in 2020. I bought this diesel for 41. Kind of before like craziness happened. The price of everything. I remember oil was like negative. It was the craziest time of my life. Anyways, I purchased a machine. Purchased cash. And I've had it since. One day I do have dreams to own land, and I want to have land, and ideally if I have the land, and I will be buying a skid steer one day. Just to maneuver logs for me. So I'm always having a problem with getting logs off my trailer, because sometimes I can get them on. Getting them off is hard. I don't have a skid steer, and I don't even really have a place to use this sawmill. So anytime I use this sawmill, it's going to be in the woods. Thousands of trees. So I take the sawmills out, I go in the woods, I cut trees down, I camp out, I bring ribeye and stuff. I'll bring some drinks for later on in the night. Sometimes I'll bring my buddy Clayton. He's an expert tree climber, so he can climb any tree for me, and we'll top these trees. Whenever I go into the forest, I like to kind of minimize my damage to the surrounding trees. So if there's a beautiful walnut tree, you can see it's in decline, but you see a 12-inch walnut tree next to it, some people will they don't care about that tree next to it. I want to preserve these younger trees, so one day they get 30 inches. But I don't like to fall walnut trees under other trees. If they need to be topped and dissected out, that's what we're gonna do. So go out in the woods, get a couple trees down, get an entire trailer load full of wood, and filming the process takes 3 or 4 or 5 times long. But in 2025, what I've decided to do, the person that I pay to go in the woods with me, they're never gonna touch a saw. All they're gonna do is use a camera. So they'll be able to, take the videos that I want to always take. I just can't always take videos because I'm having to set my tripod up before I, put the, face cut in this tree, and then I'm gonna plunge cut this tree. I'm gonna make sure my hinge is proper. I'm gonna bore that tree out. I'm gonna set my trigger, and then I'm gonna hit that, hit it from the back side, and that tree's gonna go where I tell it to fall. Trees are extremely dangerous. I love wearing chaps and a helmet. 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't wear a helmet. I didn't wear chaps. Clayton, he's all about safety. You have, one thing that's going to protect you from that saw in your leg. If you potentially cut it. I'm pretty, good with the chainsaw. But having chaps and having, proper safety gear is very important. And having a second person in the woods is so vital. I have gone in the woods so many times myself, fall trees, and do everything by myself. If something went wrong, no one would know, and it's extremely dangerous. But this is like kind of my first live video on, this platform, and I didn't know what to talk about. That's just kind of the gist. But anyways, in 2020, I bought this sawmill, and it's 2024. It's about to be 2025. This has been a crazy year. My dad died, goodness, June 29th of this year. It's been the wildest year of my entire life. So he died, I was in Illinois, and we get the call from Carrie, long time, neighborhood friend. He was taking care of my mom's dogs, and he was taking care of my dogs. And we were all out of town. He was the only one in Oklahoma. As he was coming to Brasswood, he hit a tree. So he had a heart attack or something, hit a tree, was there for 10, 15 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Anyways, someone got him, ambulance came, went to the hospital. We thought he was going to be in ICU eventually. 30 minutes later, he's dead. 10:30 or something like that, 11 o'clock. Found out he's dead. I already had a plane ticket to come back to Oklahoma City. My mom was already on his way back. Sister was on his way back. Brother was coming back from Costa Rica, so we were all in motion. But anyways, Dad died this year. He was the glue for the family, and it's been a crazy year. So I kind of pushed pause on the procurement of the walnut tree. I do have thousands of walnut trees in my. I have access to thousands of walnut trees. I pay for these walnut trees. I'm not cutting 12 or 14-inch walnut trees out. I like to cut the 24 and 30-inch walnut trees out. I procure walnut seeds every single year. So I love to take seeds. They have to go through a freeze before they're viable. I take seeds and then I store them. I probably have 15,000 walnut seeds at my house, viable seeds in trash bags, and I plant them. So I have in my front garden, I just have tons of seedlings, and I'll take those seedlings and put them in forests. And I also like to put the actual seed in the ground before it rots or squirrels get it and stuff like that. Sometimes squirrels do plant lots of walnut trees, so that's a great thing. But anyway, so all these slabs are dry. So I cut this tree down over 2 years ago. It was in a stack. Oh, it's standing up. It's $120. Whatever that equates to 4 foot. Some of these are 5/4, some of them are 6/4. There's probably 80 or 90 maybe there's 100 walnut slabs in here. This used to be floor to ceiling. This is a 12 by 40, so floor to ceiling. My slabs used to touch the ceiling last year. Anyways, all those are gone. Just selling slabs, and it's kind of a very manual labor process. So my goal is one day, potentially in 2025, buy a piece of land, have this sawmill, even have conveyor belt, to off-bear the wood. So I'm never touching the wood. I might upgrade this machine to an LT70. It also needs to have a skid steer to complement it, to be able to throw the skid steer on a trailer, go out to the woods, get a bunch of logs, cut them there, bring them on site. Have the ability to have logging trucks come to me. I'll pay for these logs, and they'll come to me with a grapple boom, and they'll take them off and place them right before my sawmill. Where am I going to put that wood? I can't do that scale. It's a very small business. One day I want it to grow. I've spent $0 on my business. The only dollars I've spent are the, paying for the machine, the storage fee. But as far as trying to procure more, customers or paying for advertisement, I've never done that. I would love to do that. It's just been organic growth. So I've got for 200 or 300 people, and it's kind of cool. These lights are gonna go off, so I need to walk over here real quick. But yeah, it sucks because I don't have electricity in this storage unit, and I don't have water. And this machine is a mess when it comes back home. And sometimes I gotta take my kid. Every day I gotta take my kids to school. So if I gotta take my kids to school, that means my truck has to be ready to go, with the ability to have 2 kids in the back seat. And I'll maybe have my chainsaws inside the truck. First thing in the morning, I'll throw them in the back of my pickup. Fold the seats down, kids can get in. And sometimes I'll have the sawmill on my truck. And this thing sometimes will be covered with diesel because I'm cutting pine logs. Well, I don't want diesel on my machine if it's being stored in the storage unit. So anytime I cut pine logs, last logs I cut for a customer pine. So it's really cold right now. But yeah, after I cut with diesel and cut pine logs, you're gonna have to wash this machine. Just having diesel in here is kind of like a fire hazard to me, and it just kind of smells. And also, there's like lots of, sometimes you'll get logs with a bunch of bugs. I don't want to bring customers' bugs back into my storage unit. That's very important to me. Like whenever I cut my trees, if there's bugs in my logs, they're not going to be coming in here. And storing logs outside, you gotta treat your ground. You'll have powder post beetles get into a stack, and if you don't treat that situation, you can't sell it to the customer. So, bug-free wood. This is all air dried material. Great stuff. Lots of charcuterie stock over there. I got 40 and 50 wide walnut slabs in my house. There's 200 or 300 slabs in my house, just stacks on stacks. Beautiful stacks. I don't even want to sell it. So this is a sawmill. I also have a Lucas mill, so got 76 inches wide, but 20 feet. I'll sell it to you for $10,000 if you want it. I use it once a year. So the reason I purchased that machine, I used to pay someone like $1,000 to cut one of my logs. So if I come across in the past 10 years, I'll come across these big logs and have to call somebody to cut them, and they usually charge me like $1,000, $1,500. You do that a few times, you pay for the machine. Just like when I paid 3 or 4 years of sawmill fees at Oklahoma City Sawmill, I could have bought that LT40, wide, standard engine for $28,000. Because I probably paid $28,000 in sawmill fees during that 4-year period. Guarantee I did. So, I like to be able to not have to rely on anybody, have the tools necessary to get the job done. There's three chainsaws over there, all my stuff's over there, cant hooks, lots of stuff at the house. Anyways, I'm rambling. First live video. Thank you guys so much. God bless you. If you have any, questions, any type of content you'd like to see, put it out there. But my goal in 2025 is I'm going to start having videos of kind of showing the process in the woods. So, pulling through the gates of the properties, getting to the woods, cutting the trees down, pulling the logs out, which is pretty interesting because, we're pulling out with my F350. 100 feet of chain, sometimes winch, sometimes snatch blocks, all sorts of different things just to get these logs out of the woods. And you also don't want to damage the surrounding trees. And then after we pull those logs out, usually there's going to be drag trails, and on those trails, assuming we're not going to drive back in there, it's an easy situation to plant a bunch of walnut trees, because I have thousands of seeds. So that's what I love to do. I'm going to start documenting more. I always tell myself, like, anytime I have somebody with me, they don't really like Clayton, he's like safety and he's really good, and I want him to come in the woods with me, and he will. But I think I'm gonna have him, hold the camera more often, get some more footage. And unfortunately, we don't have access to live video of the places where we go. There's no service. Hospitals are 50 miles away, 100 miles away. You're not getting service in these places. No communication. You go there. I have lots of footage. I can recycle them. I could throw a video together, edit it, make it look really cool, but it's not really happening live. So I'm going to try to film the process more. Thank you for following along. If this channel is not for you, unsubscribe. That's fine with me. God bless you. Love you guys, and enjoy your day. How do we end this bad boy? Sorry guys. No. Bam. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? And